Welcome back, Saints. Hope your Halloween was a blast. I'm Sophie, and this is SFHS Today. In national news, Election Day is tomorrow, November 3rd, for in-person voting. Reported Jared Hayter and Brody Wyatt have more information on that later on. In local news, on Thursday, Minnesota reported 32 COVID deaths and 2,872 confirmed cases of the virus. According to the Star Tribune, 37 of the state's 87 counties have infection levels that recommend all online classes for middle and high schools and hybrid instruction in elementary. In school news, on October 26, the school board met to review the most recent COVID data using zip codes and student staff numbers. They decided we will be continuing hybrid learning until November 16th. They will be reviewing this decision November 5th and could be moved to distance learning on November 16th if the numbers remain high. With more corona news coming in daily, we had our reporters Tyson Burwald and Eli Kessler talk to our superintendent, Beth Geese, on what's to come next in ISD 15 schools.
So what was the plan that was put into place for switching into full day?
Yeah, originally it was supposed to be a switch on November 2nd and kind of would have rolled you guys out until the end of the trimester, December 10th. And now we won't look at moving it until November 16th. And I did check with the Commissioner of Education. She works for the governor, and she gave us the A-OK to do that. So it kind of added on another 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, to keep you guys in hybrid. There's always that chance, if people keep wearing their masks and keep doing things right. I mean, some counties are showing they are going down. But the big change is from November 2nd to November 16th. The other change is getting the commissioner to say, yep, you can use, your superintendent can use the local data. That's pretty huge, because if we don't get any more positive cases, especially at the high school, I think I really could go in and maybe even keep it open longer. So far, I'm very, very pleased with the response there. Hybrid still gets a little mixed results. It depends on what grade level you are. I get kind of sad if I see either of you, Tyson or Eli, and you're sitting in the cafeteria at a table because your teacher is ill or something like that. That's not good learning. We've got to step up and figure out how we're going to do that better. But there really aren't any subs, and ideally you should be able to learn online if it's set up correctly. Again, those are things that we keep tweaking, and I think we're going to keep trying to do better and better all the time. But right. I have heard a lot of positives from the folks that are doing distance learning all the time.
Do you think a majority of the kids would do better or worse if they had to switch from hybrid to distance learning?
Well, the difference there, Tyson, is this. The kids that select distance learning, they learn well that way.
Right.
They know that about themselves. They like that. They like getting up and putting pajama bottoms on and sitting in class all day. They do well. People like me, and probably people like both of you, because you're in school, we need that interaction. I need to see people. I need to be chatting.
Yeah, I just asked that because we also interviewed a bunch of students and a couple staff members from our school, and almost every single student said that they believe that all the kids are going to do a lot worse in school.
And what do you guys think is going to happen when the school switches to full online learning?
I'm definitely going to fail most of my classes.
I'll do good, because I always do good.
Why do you think you're going to fail all your classes?
Because I can't learn online, and I can't get myself to turn my computer on.
I think a lot of kids are going to struggle, to be honest.
Yeah, without a teacher, it's going to be hard.
It's hard to get a question answered online.
We did have 728 students quarantined, and that's really hard. I mean, it's almost 300 kids that had to stay home and aren't positive or anything like that, but because they were in that contact tracing situation, which isn't us. Everyone needs to know that. That isn't the school that says you're quarantined. It is, our health officials. We also have 460 students that have had cases resolved. So that means they've either been in quarantine or been a part of that. And we do have 17 students that have tested positive overall. I have 32 staff members that are out related to COVID somehow. It could be their spouse has it, so that means they can't come to school because someone in their house tested positive or something like that. I do have 17 staff members that are fully quarantined, and that might be a coach from a team. It might be, someone that went to a wedding and got quarantined. And I do have 5 positive cases of staff members. And so that's where our current numbers are today. But I really feel like we've kind of peaked. And I feel like it doesn't feel like we're doing as much contact tracing right now. So that's got to be a good sign. That's got to mean our numbers are coming down. And glad to see both of you wearing masks and doing the right thing. Because if we all do it, this stuff, eventually it's going to come down. So
Right. It'll just take a time.
It's going to take time. And we got to figure out how to work this world. I get frustrated. I go into Target and there's hundreds and hundreds of people, and I can go shopping at Target, but I go into the high school and to be real sad, I'm kind of sad when I get there. It doesn't feel loud and noisy like it normally is. Your lunch almost depressing in a little way, and I want this to be an amazing senior year for you. You deserve that. All of our kids do.
Right.
So I just hope we can turn this around and do it in a good, safe, and healthy way for our teachers, our staff, and you guys.
Now back to the election. Jared Hayter and Brody Wyant went to St. Francis City Hall and spoke to City Clerk Barb Held about voting and the election this year. Let's check it out.
Today we're heading to City Hall to find out how you can vote if you're 18.
And the importance of voting. Why is voting important?
Voting, it's a civic right that everyone has. People fought for the right to vote. So I think it's important that everyone that has the ability to vote. And not only in this election, but in every election.
How can eligible students go about voting this year?
If they're 18 years old, they can register to vote. All they have to do is have proof of where their residency is. And you go to your polling location, the city that you live in, bring your ID. If the current address is on your ID, that's all you need for proof of registration to vote.
Do you think that the voting process with COVID has improvised well?
Yeah, I think, especially in Oka County, we've done a very good job of protecting the voters that come in. We do a lot of cleaning. We do, the only thing, like I mentioned to you guys before, is the wait time is probably going to be longer, and that's why I think a lot of people are doing the early voting or mail-in absentee voting, because you do have to keep social distancing in mind, and there are a lot of different precautions that we've been taking to keep everyone safe, not only the judges, but also the voters.
Also in Corona news, we had reporters go out and talk to our school nurse on how to protect ourselves against the coronavirus.
How many cases of coronavirus are there in the school currently?
So far we've had 7 positive cases, students, and I think right now there's probably 5 active cases. Some kids have come back. So normally with students that have to be out for at least 10 days. And then anybody that was close contacts with them would need to be out for 14 days.
How necessary are the masks, and does it matter if the nose is out or not?
Well, according to the CDC guidelines, if you follow those, the masks are necessary to help slow the spread, not necessarily stop, but slow the spread. And it would be necessary for your nose to be inside of the mask, because if you cough or sneeze or your nose is dripping, all of those secretions can touch your hands, things you're carrying, desks, things like that. Other students could touch those and then become sick from that. So I would say if you're going by those guidelines, then the mask and having the nose in the mask are necessary.
What are we doing to notify students who have been in contact with someone that tested positive for COVID-19?
What we're doing is we go to the rooms, we check out and see where the student was sitting, and then try to contact students that were close to them, so that if they were within a certain distance and it falls in this, the guidelines set by the Minnesota Department of Health, then we might ask them to quarantine, or have to quarantine if that's the situation. We also do to let anyone within the classroom know that after we have confirmed that we have a positive case.
What steps can be taken to protect ourselves from COVID-19?
Wearing your mask for one, social distancing, you don't want to be sharing water bottles, chapsticks, things like that.
With many students out on quarantine because of the coronavirus, reporter Maddie Little interviewed junior Riley Levine on her personal close encounter with the virus.
We have Riley Levine here, a junior at St. Francis High School, and we're going to be talking about her COVID-19 encounter.
Yep.
So you received an email stating that you have been exposed to someone that tested positive for COVID. What did that email say?
It was pretty long, but just like the first paragraph just said, the Minnesota Department of Health has identified a positive case of COVID-19 in St. Francis High School with an exposure date of 10/12 and 10/14. They have determined that your student, me, is in close contact with the case.
What exactly happened when you went and got COVID-19 tested?
So they shoved like a swab or a big Q-tip up my nose, both nostrils, twisted it around a bunch of times. It was pretty painful and very uncomfortable.
So you said your results came back negative. How rewarding was that feeling?
It felt good because I wanted to go back to work, and my parents couldn't go to work because I was in close contact with someone who had it, so they couldn't work, and then I felt bad because they don't like being home either. You can't just sit at home being bored all the time.
Now on to our weekly RQT with Nate and Avery on your favorite weird food combos.
It's the random question thing, ding.
What's a weird food combination you like?
I like to put cayenne pepper in anything, even desserts like rhubarb pie.
I like putting Doritos on my ham sandwich instead of cheese.
Combination that you like?
Peanut butter, bacon cheeseburger.
Oh, for sure, ham and Nutella.
Mustard and apples.
Now on to Jared with sports.
Good afternoon, Saints, and welcome to sports. Football returned to practice last week and faced the Andover Huskies away last Saturday and came out with their second loss of the season. Now here's some of our reporters with an in-depth football update.
Due to the increase in cases, I think we're going to have to just be a little bit more diligent in our planning and making sure we get people to, have more space in between each other as much as possible, and uptick in our cleanliness and our making sure we get everything sanitized and to do the best that we can.
During practice, COVID-19 regulations have definitely come in place. All coaches have to wear masks. During practice, we have to stay 6 feet apart on the sidelines and preferably on the field when we're in the huddles. Obviously, we're in contact, but as soon as we're out of contact, back in the huddle or off the field, we're 6 feet apart. If we keep our helmets on, it's strictly enforced 6 feet apart. During the games, as soon as we get off the field, we have to throw our masks back on.
If anybody tests positive, now you have to contact trace for the whole team, which happened in football and happened in volleyball. And if we have multiple people who are positive and multiple people who are close contacts, the state tells us to shut the whole thing down for 2 weeks, which has happened in both sports.
Volleyball also returned to its regularly scheduled events after returning from their quarantine, with a game last Tuesday against Monticello, in which varsity sadly lost. Here's Mackenzie Wyman and Madison Rothbauer reporting on how the volleyball season is going.
How did your first game of the season go?
It went a little rough, but I think our next game will be good because we got our first game jitters out, and I think it'll go good next time.
What are the rules on wearing your mask?
We have to wear a mask every day at practice, all day, and we have to wear our masks on the sidelines when we're not in the court.
What is different from last season?
We had a couple of seniors graduate. That obviously causes some rough patches, so we have new players coming in, starting games. So, yeah.
Have a great week and stay safe, Saints.